Hello fellow gamers, this is Adam again and welcome to my Gamescom reaction video for Gaming into Dunking into Subjects, forgot the title already. So today's biscuits, which I've now nearly ate, is Indigestive Biscuits. Couldn't think of a bloody title. So, Gamescom, which I must apologise first, I'm a bit behind because I've had some connection issues, some recording issues, hence why the biscuit's nearly finished. That means I'm being a bit behind, so hopefully I'm back on track now. Right, Gamescom. Biggest headline from the week, no doubt, is PlayStation 4's release date now. November 15th in North America, which makes perfect sense because it puts them right in the middle of the month when you got Assassin's Creed, COD, Battlefield, Watch Dogs, all them coming out that month. Makes perfect sense. Plus they avoid Black Friday, the big North American shopping day after Thanksgiving. So once again, makes perfect sense. Europe has to wait 2 more weeks. Now some people complain about this, but really it's nothing. It's nothing 2 weeks, because in the old days, from the likes of the days of the Nintendo 64, the Saturn, the original PlayStation, we had to wait pretty much nearly a whole year. Right, so whole year, 2 weeks, nothing. So people shouldn't get being the bonnet about that. It's nothing, right? It just means that for those final 2 weeks, it's a little bit more agony because you've got maybe friends over the pond who are enjoying the new Killzone or whatever, you know, and you have to wait a little bit. But nah, that's fine. So game announcements, game announcements that they announced. Well, there was a lot. Right, about 20 plus they announced. Nothing from their major AAA studios, because I think Sony have been a bit precise about when they're going to do that. I think they'll announce one of them from the likes of Santa Monica or Media Molecule or Naughty Dog. They'll announce one of them, I think, right before the release of the console, right, just to entice the more undecided gamers to come in, the more undecided consumers. But what we did see, a lot of that really impressed me, right? Yes, a lot of them are indie titles, but let's face it, indie gaming is going to have a massive say in how this console generation goes. Because, you know, some of the biggest hits in the last couple of years in gaming have been indie titles. You look at Hotline Miami, you look at Minecraft, which by the way was announced for PlayStation 4 as a release title, so that's a big thing to get that onto PlayStation systems now finally. So what games stood out for me then? Well, there's new studio that started in Northern Italy, which Sony announced a partnership with earlier this year called, I think I pronounced this right, Ovo Sonico, and it's called Murasaki's Baby. Now it looks right up my street because I'm a massive Tim Burton fan, and it looks like something that he could have drawn, right? It has that look to it, right? And it's the kind of experience that I love. Why I stick with PlayStation, because I love the AAA gaming experiences like the next person, but I'm not that type of gamer that wants to play Call of Duty all the time or FIFA and such like. I can just as easily play bite-sized gaming then to the AAA experience or something completely mad. I class myself as a hardcore gamer, because I play such a variety. That's what I want, and that's what PlayStation gives me. So I have no reason to go anywhere else. That's why I don't. But yeah, Murasaki's Baby is the type of game that really tickles that side where I think this just looks mad, but it could be interesting. Next up, a Spanish development game called Rime, R-I-M-E, and it looks like an adventure type game where it seems to take a good deal of inspiration from Ico and Journey, which those 2 games were amazing, in themselves. So if this game can do half right to what those 2 games did, then it's going to be a pretty decent title in its own right anyway. So that's, for me, one to look out for. Another that stood out, House Marquee. Now they've for me one of the most prolific you know, developers of the last generation. You know, they've only released titles that have come out onto PlayStation Network or to Xbox Live, but the games they release are really good. You know, that they've released this generation. I mean, they've done Super Stardust, they've done Outland, they've done Dead Nation, and their next game is PlayStation 4 exclusive, which is what they called a spiritual follow-up to Super Stardust called Resogun. And I've seen that, and I've seen the clips of that, and it does look like, you know, and it's going to be free to PlayStation Plus subscribers day one, right? And it looks like the type of game where you think, you know what, it's late night, but, you know, I want to play some gaming for an hour. You know, it's that type of game where you want to build up a high score now, where it's addictive, but if you haven't got too long to play a game, which a lot of people have, you know, it's part and parcel of life, you know, it's a perfectly reasonable game to while away an hour or so. So I'm really looking forward to Resogun because it, you know, the House Marquee really know how to nail the sort of shooter, addictive, high score multiplayer type game, and Resogun looks like it's carrying that on. Next game is from the makers behind the one of the bigger indie hits of last year that caught people's attention, called Dear Esther. And their new title, which grabbed my attention from the moment I heard it, the title is Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, which as soon as I heard it, I thought, you know what, I want this game. I don't even almost want to know what it's about. The title just stood out for me, thinking, that is a great title, you know. But it seems to be this kind of exploration, post-apocalyptic world. I mean, its tagline is, this story begins with the end of the world. So it seems to be that it's supposed to be about you play this scientist who seems to be the last man left on Earth. So I can't wait to hear more about that. Now to PlayStation Vita. First off, price cut at long last. It's now under £200. The proprietary memory cards prices, which are ridiculously high, I must admit, they're ridiculous. They've been dropped as well. And along with a lot of those indie titles that I mentioned, with some of those indie titles I mentioned, like Musaki's Baby or Rhyme, not Resogun by the way, are coming to Vita. Albeit the Resogun will come to Vita as a remote play feature, but that's a topic for another day. But they did announce some games that are coming exclusively to Vita, which got me punching the air a little bit because I really wanted these games to come out. One of them is Football Manager. Now, I've played FIFA on Vita. It plays perfectly fine. It's excellent, in fact. But I prefer it on the console, you know what I mean? But I thought at the time, right, if you give me a football management game, I could spend a really good one. I could spend hours and hours on that, right? And the best one out there is Football Manager. So the fact that Sony have gone out of their way to help the developers behind that to bring it to Vita, you know, showed that they recognised that I wasn't the only one thinking it. I sent messages on Twitter to some of the people at Sony and that, and saying, you know, can we have this game? And clearly I wasn't alone in that, you know. So brilliant that they brought that out. The biggest game coming to Vita that they announced, and I know it's a year old, but I think it's a pretty big deal, is Borderlands 2. Now, Borderlands 2, I've probably played on that this year more than any other game so far. I must have ploughed about 60 hours into it, you know. It's brilliantly addictive, you know, in its looting system, right? And there was talk for a while about it coming to Vita, and but Gearbox says we would love to have it come to Vita, but you're going to need to find a developer to do that because we're making other things, probably Borderlands 3. So the fact that Sony have now, you know, got a deal done and they're currently making Borderlands 2 for the Vita, I thought brilliant, absolutely brilliant that they're getting that. Because it at least keeps some AAA games ticking along, because at the moment Sony didn't announce anything. I was rather hoping that they would do something like an Infamous game on the Vita, or a dedicated God of War game, or maybe even a new Uncharted, but, you know, at least we're still getting something. But hopefully within the next year or so, maybe with the price cut and everything, the Vita might start proving to be a bit more attractive to the bigger publishers to say, look, here we are, you know, the Vita's selling well, it's selling much better now, right, we'll make some games for it. And just on a side note, 2K publish Borderlands 2, and of course they also publish the Bioshock games, and of course Irrational said they still have hopes of making a Bioshock game for the Vita. So if Borderlands 2 does well, it may just encourage 2K that a Bioshock game will be worth it. So let's hope that's the case. Right, so those are the games that excite me from Gamescom. I'll wrap this up now. For this coming week, I'm going to have a couple of videos coming up about looking more into Microsoft's side of it. My next video, which is coming up in a couple of days, is going to be focusing on Microsoft's deal with Electronic Arts, EA, such as bundling FIFA in and its exclusivity with Titanfall, which is getting massive thumbs up from everyone. But my side of it is that I'm going to be discussing about whether if what Sony did at EA at E3 has kind of put a spanner into the works in terms of Microsoft's hopes for a longer term deal with that scenario. Plus, I'll look into what Microsoft about why they've not announced a release date yet for the Xbox One, and some of the pitfalls of the longer they leave it. So, hope you have a very good weekend, and I'll see you in a couple of days with my next Dunking into Subjects video, and I'll see you then. Be lucky.